And now, we talk about food. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany. Here we talk about all the food happenings around Acadiana. If you like food, tune in. You might learn something new. I am recovering from a cold. I'm going to do my best to hit that cough button whenever the need to cough arises. My voice is sounding a lot better than it did yesterday. So yay for rest, although I did almost set my kitchen on fire yesterday, but that's a story for another day. Enjoying this gorgeous cold weather that we've having. It feels like Halloween. It's starting to feel like the holidays are up upon us. I judged a gumbo cook-off in Crowley yesterday. So excited to finally be able to judge a gumbo cook-off and have actual gumbo weather. It was amazing.
Not like 1,000,000 degrees outside.
Right. Chef Paul Krato is joining us tonight as guest co-host. And we're going to have a little bit of a Halloween. We're going to kind of keep it Halloween themed because those are always fun. We'll have some different topics. But along the theme of Halloween, I will mention this. I haven't been on the air for the past 2 weeks, so I kind of feel a little off my game tonight because the last 2 episodes have been recorded because I was at an event in Baton Rouge last weekend, and then we had recorded the one before that.
It's like coming back from like a vacation. You're
and
like,
that's what it feels like. It kind of feels like,
what do I talk about?
That's what it kind of feels like. Okay.
And this has been a busy couple of weeks as far as like in the food world, like everything that's going on. Oh my God.
We have so much that we're going to talk about. We're going to have some serious talk, but we're going to kind of try to keep it fun with the Halloween theme. On that note, I want to give a shout out to my grandfather, Leon Ebnet. He is listening to us tonight. He lives in Dangerfield, Texas, and my dad configured his radio so he'd be able, his computer actually, I think that's how he's listening to it, that he would be able to listen at home. So he's listening tonight.
All the way from Texas.
Dangerfield, Texas.
I've never been to Dangerfield.
It's beautiful out there. It's very wooded. It's a very wooded area.
I'd be fine with that. Like, look, dude, I grew up in the country. I love the country. I don't know how I would be in the desert. I enjoy like grass.
Yeah. He lives on the property next to my uncle, his son, and my uncle's a trapper. So he has like his little trapper shed, and it has like my dad built him the wood burning fire stove that's in it. And it's kind of creepy when you go in because there's like skins hanging everywhere.
Yeah, skins, traps, and that smell of old blood like that.
Yeah, there was like pools of blood everywhere. So it was a little creepy, but
that old blood will get you.
Yeah, it's also pretty cool too. So that's nice. Okay, but on the theme of Halloween, so right before I got to the show, I went to Tribe Collective today. They had what was called a spirit gallery for Halloween, and Sean Michael Rutherford, you can find him on Facebook. He's on Instagram. He is a psychic medium, and I went to one that they had hosted before, and I wasn't sure what to expect, and it was, if you've ever seen the Montel Williams show with Sylvia Brown, it was legit like that. Like, he would call things out, and you'd raise your hand, and then he would narrow people down that way to try to figure out who their loved ones were. And the last one kind of threw me off guard, so I didn't know what to expect, but I knew what to expect going into this one.
Right.
And he starts going, he's like, these are my favorite kind of grandmothers. He said, she's baking. She's got an apron on. She's baking. And, she's really good at baking. And I was like raising my hand immediately.
It's like me.
Yeah, I was like, I know exactly who this is. And he kept looking at me like, yes, this is for you. But, they had to narrow it down.
Right.
He was like, she had recipes, but she liked to make her recipes her own. She was really cocky about her recipes. And I was just like, yes, this was her. Like, this is so her. And he said some other things to kind of narrow it down. And she basically told me that she's upset with me because I'm not using her recipes enough. When she passed, they gave me all of her cookbooks because they knew I loved to cooking. She's actually the reason why I'm so into food.
Right.
Because like the first thing I ever learned to make was pancakes. And she bought me my first cookbook, and I still have it. It's like the ABCs of cooking.
Pancakes are like my kryptonite.
Right. So she's my reason that I am so into food, but she's upset with me because I'm not using her recipes enough. And Sean was like, you need to be baking. And I was like, okay. And he basically said, how are you going to get a man? He said, my grandmother said that. How are you going to get a man if you don't feed him? He was like, you really need to get baking. He's like, 30-day challenge. I see you doing this November 1st and going through the holidays. And he's like, specifically baking is what he kept saying.
Right.
And then he said, Julia. And I just burst into tears. So Julia, if you're not familiar, is this movie. And it was based on a book of this girl named Julie who took The Joy of Cooking, Julia Child's book, and every day she would cook a recipe from the book and she would blog and write about it. Well, I never told anyone this, but I had when I had initially got the cookbooks from my grandmother and the recipes from my grandmother, of doing some kind of like spin-off blog where I would cook her recipes and kind of like write about it and kind of thing.
The experience and everything about it.
And then I also referred to her as my very own Julia Child. So like as soon as he said that, like I just burst into tears because it was like those two things. And I was like, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like I know exactly what she's trying to tell me.
Right.
And I just cried. And now I have to bake and I'm terrified because I hate it. Baking is terrifying to me.
I love to bake. I can pretty much bake every day. I don't. But I do get like kicks, and when I do get a kick, like I'll bake everything in the world. I'll bake different breads, cupcakes. I'll make pizza doughs, pastas. I'll make everything. Baking is like it's one of the most rewarding and soul breaking things in the food world.
That's why it terrifies me, is because you have to be so exact with it. Like you can't alter the amount of butter that you put in it or sugar or flour because you will mess everything up.
And even if you get all the measurements right, it's as if the temperature's correct. If you overmix it, undermix it, if you didn't let it rise long enough or whatever you're doing, and you'll never really know if you're not comfortable with the recipe and you haven't made it 100 times. If you're not comfortable with it, you put it in and you're never going to know if it's right until it's done, and it's either going to be great or it's going to be trash. And that's where it is. You just got to get past like that. I'm going to mess up. Like you have to know you're going to mess up.
Yeah.
It's like anything that
trial
you do.
And error.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start baking November 1st. He kept saying stuff about pies, but I had called my dad after the reading and I was like, man, she really didn't cook pies. And he was like, no, she made like breads and like cinnamon rolls and things like that. And so I was like, maybe I'm supposed to be making pies.
You can make a pot pie. It's that weather.
A pot pie.
Pot pies are good.
I don't know about that.
Dude, I'm going to make you a pot pie that'll change your life.
Okay. We'll see about that.
Promise.
Maybe, because he also said something about rhubarb, like red pie. So maybe I'm going to make these amazing red strawberry rhubarb pies and change the world. I don't know, but I'm terrified about this. It'll be fun, though. It'll be a nice challenge because it's so... And I mean, I do bake. Like, I think the last time I baked was right when I moved into my apartment, and I did enjoy it. Like, I enjoyed it so much.
If you're going to do it for 30 days, I'm sure you're going to be baking something every day.
It's going to be longer than 30 days. It's going to be, like, through the holiday season, and I'm not baking every day because that's too much.
Or if like whatever you want it to bake, like you can drag it out and like you can treat it as like a kind of like see what you can do, like what you're capable of, like at your level right now. I want to try
to make some bread because
you can start off like
yeah
with your basics and then build yourself up into something else. But I mean, start off with like white bread. White bread's easy and incredibly hard at the same time.
Well, I made white bread one time and they didn't rise. And I remember having a conversation with her and her mother, and that she was just like, bread is so hard. She was like, it's hard to get the yeast to rise. And she made the most wonderful whole wheat bread.
Yeah.
Like for Sunday supper, oh my God. And you wanted to get the exact middle piece because it was the most saturated with butter, because she would like butter all the slices. Just the most amazing. Like she was such an amazing baker. Like, ooh. I mean, big shoes to fill.
Like back in the day, I mean, that's pretty much what they did. Like they cooked a lot. Like they didn't have access to all the nonsense that we have access to. So it was pretty much a lot more personal to them than it is today. Like now, like back then, it was awesome to make all the stuff like as like, you know, a home cook, mother, whatever, father,
Right.
anyone. Now it's just like, I don't have the time.
I'm going to have to make the time. I mean, maybe it's going to be therapy for me.
You can't have time if you don't take time.
Right.
That's a known right there.
We're going to figure it out. I have the whole holiday season to figure it out. So we will check it out. All right, we are going to take a break. And when we come back, we have more with Paul. So come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
She puts the wow, yum into words. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie herself on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku, and joining tonight as guest co-host is Paul Krato. Okay, we're going to get into the serious stuff so then we can kind of keep it lighthearted.
Serious
the rest
face
of
right
the,
here.
Of the episode. Okay, so we have to talk about it. I came out this last week about John Besh stepped down from the Besh Group in New Orleans.
Yep.
And if you're not familiar, he is a world-renowned celebrity chef,
Iron Chef,
and he had allegations of sexual misconduct in like big misconduct.
Yeah.
Not only amongst him, but amongst the workers in the Besh Group, and people were accusing that it was almost encouraged. So he stepped down this week, and kind of ahead of that. So what started this whole thing is Alon Shaya, who is also a very famous chef,
right? And
his restaurant Shaya, and he got his start in the Besh Group, and it was a Besh owned restaurant. They had a falling out. And they're in an issue over the name. Yeah, right now they're in a legal battle over the copyrights of your name, which that's got to be crazy. Yeah, but I mean, like that's contracts, and that's not reading like the fine print and everything that you like have to deal with in the restaurant industry. Right. So he left the group, and then these allegations came out, and then it became aware that Alon Shaya apparently had helped the Brett Anderson with the newspaper in New Orleans break the story, and that's kind of why he was fired from the Besh Group because of this. But then there's also another theory that just the timing, he kind of took advantage of the timing with the legal battle and everything else that's happening with this. I mean, regardless, if he did, then that's on him. But something like that shouldn't be tolerated. You shouldn't have to go into work and have to worry about any of that. But and if you find out about that stuff, it should have. It's not uncommon. And having I have a food writer friend who in New Orleans who has said this about John Besh for years, and no one would listen to her. And I also know other chefs that work in different restaurants in New Orleans that everyone knew about this, and it was very hushed about. Everyone knew about. Like I know people that worked for Besh that said the same thing about like him cheating on his wife and all this other stuff, and all that boils down to is like the lack of like true, I guess, human resources, like they talk about in like the articles. And that's what they were mentioning too, that they did not have a formal human resources group. And even then, it's like, do they just get someone that's like legit, or do they get someone that's just gonna help them bury everything? You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's like, I feel like if you have like a human resource, it has to be like some type of like a impartial like third party or something like that, like outside that can, just look at it for what it is and be able to discern what's going on versus someone that can be in the know and maybe they're like best friends with the guys or whatever, and like they don't do anything and they're overlooked. Like you should never have to go into any workplace and have to fear for anything. Like you're called professionals for a reason. Like act like it. I'm just wondering now if there's going to be other restaurant groups that kind of have these allegations brought forth about them in the limelight, because I guarantee you that is not the only kitchen that's happening in. No. And that it's happening in numerous restaurant kitchens around the United States, if not world.
I'll tell you right now, like I've been in restaurants for an extremely long time. It's going to happen at every restaurant you ever come across, whether it's a fast food to fine dining. It's how they handle it that's the problem. Some people will not tolerate it. If there's any sort of report at the places that I've worked for, if there's anything that was reported like that, it was handled immediately, and more than likely they lost their job. But it's whether or not people are going to report it. Or if it's just like, it could be like a malicious thing. It could be, there's like so many things that go on. Like people call it like a locker room mentality.
And that's what I'm wondering
and
too. Because
it's not, a locker room mentality is not a restaurant mentality. We're not going to say just kitchen guys that, feel up or hit up everyone. Like it happens all around, whether it's a server, someone that works in the front, bartender, busboys. One of the worst offenders that most people don't ever think about is the guests themselves. But a locker room mentality, a locker room is where you go and people take their mask off and they reveal their true selves into a group of people. People that work in a restaurant, we don't have to put on a mask. We don't take a mask off. The way you get us in that restaurant is the way that we are outside for the most part.
In the kitchen, because I would argue that that's not
like servers,
the same for front of the house.
Yeah, well, servers, they have to put on a face while they're working. They can't just go to a guest and be like, profanity, profanity, profanity,
right.
profanity, 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 what do you want? You can't do that. You have to carry yourself in a professional way. And yeah, that's kind of putting on a mask in a sense. But when you're talking about coworkers working together, you're not hiding the fact that you walk in as the person you are outside. What matters in a restaurant is how you work. So like people will overlook things and not even pay attention because like they're such a good worker, some other stuff, or they may not notice it at first. And they may come off as like, this person that's like really, really nice and there's something about them that they just keep to themselves and they do something and they may not believe them at first. But that's up to the person who like something happened, like to stay persistent with like, no, this happened. Like you have to do something about it. Like you have to, like they have to be able to go to anyone with any problem.
Right.
And they have to be taken as seriously as it could be. Because I mean, you don't ever want what's happening with Besh going on at any restaurant.
Right.
I mean, even it's like probably like 99% true, everything that they're saying about this dude. But if it's not, just that bad PR is enough to be detrimental to your business because it still leaves the what if.
And that's what I'm wondering now for the restaurants that are in the Besh group, like how they're going to recover.
They're gonna,
because Harrah's already cut the John Besh Steakhouse.
Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna lose a lot of stuff like that because like they don't want to be associated with that. And like if that restaurant stays afloat or the group stays afloat, right now I guarantee you they're all scrambling trying to find some sort of HR that they can put in place now that's going to be effective. And then they're just going to start hammering down on people so this never happens again, that they're going to boast that, they have this and they're taking it very, very seriously and all this other stuff. But it doesn't negate the fact that they still allowed it to happen.
Right.
It doesn't make it okay. It's like saying, I killed 15 people. I did my time. I'm not going to do anything. I served 20 years. I'm sorry. I made strides. I found Jesus or whatever you can think of. Are you still going to let that person out,
Right. It's a messed up situation. I'm just hoping that this kind of opens up the restaurant industry's eyes a little more about some things that are going on in other, I guarantee you this is happening in other restaurants around the
I promise you it happens everywhere. It's just it's all how they handle it.
Right.
And yeah, you can have a lot of restaurants that you're going to work in where it will never be tolerated, even if it's permitted. Like even if you have consent, like someone walks in, slaps you on the butt and like you slap them on the butt and it's okay because that's what y'all do. Some places won't even allow that and they'll still reprimand you for that because they don't ever want to have a chance of this happening.
And that's because
now
those
that this is coming,
have good human resources departments.
Right. And now this is coming to light. Like this is big because he's such a well-known chef that I guarantee you every restaurant across the country, probably the world, is looking into something to kind of help protect themselves and to make sure that their staff is safe.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that good comes from this.
But yeah,
situation.
but at the end of the day, if something happens, say something. And as far as like conducting yourself at work or in public, especially doubling so for guys, it's simple. You don't touch someone that doesn't want to be touched, or if you don't have permission, you don't say provocative things to someone just for the hell of it, like just to catcall or whatever. Like imagine like yourself in prison and that's what I'm saying. Like what would you do if they said that to you, or like what were you doing if you're in prison, someone walked up and slapped you on the butt? If you wouldn't be down with that, then why would they?
Right.
Just imagine yourself in prison before you do something.
And on that note, we're going to take another break. Come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk and 96.5 KPEL. Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku, and we've been talking with Chef Paul Krato, and we're going to switch back into Halloween theme, scary, and I think this is everyone's worst nightmare. A story came out this past week about a small town in Louisiana that food fundraiser goes bad. Jambalaya killed 2 people.
Last I heard, it was 1, and it was
sick.
like 150 something people that were sick
That is
with salmonella and another type of bacteria.
Worst nightmare. Like that's. I actually, my mom, because I was too young to know, but we went to a family reunion one time, and we got food poisoning from that. So, and I'm like real picky. If I go to like an event like that, like I won't eat mayo based, like I won't eat like potato salad and stuff like that, because I don't know how it was cooked and how long it's been sitting there. And
it all depends too. Like I'm not gonna go to like your little league field and eat the concession food unless it's like the Jack Miller barbecue burger, because I know that's just a burger that's been cooked in a slow cooker.
See,
and
I
barbecue
totally
sauce.
would eat the chili cheese Frito pie up.
See, I don't know that chili and nacho can stuff. It just doesn't sit well with me. I don't
see. My logic is that it's already cooked and it's like preservative.
I just don't like it.
So,
like as far as like just like a preference,
just like in general.
Yeah, like maybe if I'm like hammered, I might eat it because like I need to eat something.
Because I feel like the Jack Miller's hamburger would be more of a chance for food poisoning than the chili cheese Frito pie.
I don't know. I've never got sick from a barbecue burger ever, and I've eaten barbecue burgers from like shady gas stations.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Like, that's terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, like that's.
And I want to know how it happened. Like, I wonder if they've like tracked it down now to know like what they did wrong in the preparation of
like
this jambalaya.
There's tons of things that could have been like, it could have been left out too long. It could have been severely undercooked.
Handled.
It could have been handled poorly. There could have been like tons of cross contamination. Maybe the coolers weren't at the correct temp and they got hot, and apparently their noses were stopped up because it might have been windy that day and they couldn't smell that the chicken was bad or something. Like there's tons and tons of things that could have happened. Like they could have had all the vegetables, like they could have been mixing that stuff up with like raw chicken on their hands, like trying to fold it all together, like not even thinking. And like that's what happens when you have a bunch of people that cook concessions or cook food and they're not, one, properly trained, 2, they don't have any type of sanitation, or they thinking they're just like, at home and they're cooking a couple things or whatever. And like, yeah, it might be fine and dandy, but when you're cooking on a level like that to feed hundreds of people, it's a lot of food. You're covering a lot of space and you're taking a lot of time doing it.
Am I right in assuming that fundraising food items are not held to the same accountability as restaurant when it comes to like Board of Health?
No, they're not. Well, I mean,
does the Board of Health
don't get me wrong. Like Louisiana's Board of Health, I mean, it does in a sense. Like they'll come and inspect, but Louisiana's Board of Health as a whole is a joke. I'll flat out say it. But the reason it's a joke is we spend money on the stupidest stuff in the world, and we cut money where we don't need to be cutting money. The Board of Health has taken serious cuts. They have tons and tons of people that are leaving because of, one, they can't afford anything. They don't have money, or they're just losing their jobs. Some people are moving up. They have less and less workers that are going out and inspecting restaurants. So like the timetables are being drug out. Like if you're supposed to be getting inspected every 90 days, now you might be getting inspected every 120 days. There's less people, so they have more restaurants to cover, so they're overlooking stuff, I'm sure, just to, get all their stuff done because they have a certain time to get all this, whatever information they have to get done. So like they might be overlooking. If the Board of Health, if like we took that seriously and it was like in other states and people had to post what they're going on with all this other stuff, you might have cleaner restaurants. You might have less cases of this, and you might have like a little bit, better chance of like this not happening, like at a concession stand, or like that's why they don't want you like just selling food out your house, because yeah, you might be a good cook, you might be able to do all this other stuff, and at the same time, all it takes is once to get a bunch of people sick, and then you have a problem on your hands.
Yeah,
that's why. That's why
the entire town.
That's why. But there's a catch-22 to this as well. That's why they don't want you. They don't want people like having set up food donations for like homeless people or people in need. That's why like Red Cross is always going to try and throw your food away. But the problem is they don't allow people that are trained, that have certificates, to be able to purchase like a simple ticket for like $50 is saying, we're going to start this event, we're going to host it right here, and we're going to serve all of this food to homeless people or people in need or some other stuff. They don't allow you to do stuff like that. You have to jump through hoops. You have to get peddler's license and all this other stuff, and have to have insurances and whatnots and all this other stuff. And it can be simple as like, yeah, we'll give you this permit to do this stuff, and if you want to feed these people, you make them sign a waiver or something. Like, if they made it easier for people that are trained to be able to donate their time, or if you wanted to do an event, host an event, or if you want to work in a concession stand, you should have to take some sort of like a serve safe like we do if we want to run something. Like, everyone should be in the know. Like, it's important knowledge that everyone should know, because as cooks, as chefs, as people that serve food all across the world, if we don't know what we're serving, if we don't know how to take care of the food, then what's the point of doing what we're doing? We're just feeding people poison. Right.
My dad just texted to say, I fixed a big jambalaya for your debate tournament in high school and no one got sick. Yay for me. So my dad knows what to do, apparently.
Hashtag winning.
Hashtag didn't kill anybody. Good job. All right. We're going to talk about Halloween candy really quickly.
Yeah.
So I posted on the Lafayette Food Junkie Facebook page this really funny little guide, and it said how kids judge Halloween candy you give out. And they have like little sections: the old timer, the spaz, the party pooper, the trusty provider, Cheapy McCheap face, the psychopath, and then the legend. So the old timer,
that's me.
We found out Paul's a fan of the Werther's Original Candies.
I love Werther's Original Candies.
Also, those horrible black and orange candies that I would always throw away.
Yeah,
Paul has 2 bags of them at his house.
I have 2 different kinds, to be more specific. I have the peanut butter caramel ones, the originals that come in the orange and black wrappers. Then you have another one that also comes in orange and black wrappers, because that's the only color wrappers they have, but it's peanut butter and chocolate.
That's
and
gross.
It's like,
is what that is.
It's like when Taffy has a baby with caramel, and I love it.
Lies.
I love candy corn.
That's in the psychopath category.
Oh, and those little candies I was telling you about with the striped wrapper, they're called peanut butter bars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
we were talking
those
about
things
that
are fantastic. What else is it? Yeah, candy corn. I love candy corn.
Okay, so that the candy corn is in the psychopath category, and so is mints and those little strawberry candies that are like wrapped in like strawberry containers.
Oh, those are
candies.
Yeah, those are. I love those too.
I would consider that to be old timer candy.
Yeah, I love those too. Those are awesome. I mean, they're just straight sugar.
These candies, and they don't have the specific name of them, but they taste like the conversation hearts that you get at Valentine's Day, which taste like misery and despair to me. They're so disgusting. Yeah. They're like a giant version of Smarties, but they're not Smarties. They taste disgusting.
There's one candy that I didn't see, and like they have Tootsie Rolls on there, I think.
Tootsie Roll is in the Cheapy McCheap face, and that in that category is also Smarties, Dum Dums, and the bubble gum.
Right, but what they're missing, well, I mean, double bubble gum is like the best thing in the world. Yeah. Okay. Say that 5 times fast. But one thing they don't have, and this is, I would also consider this like an old soul type thing, but the flavored Tootsie Rolls, like the vanilla, the strawberry, and the lime.
I would think that goes in like, Cheapy McCheap face.
That brings me back to Halloween, and those are fantastic.
Those were the candies that I would eat after all the good candy was out. So the party pooper.
Chico sticks, the little mini Chico sticks.
See, I like those. So like peanut butter type stuff I would like. The party pooper is like fruit, and if you ever got a toothbrush and floss, which I never got.
Yeah, no, I never got that.
The trusty provider is like Skittles, Nestle Crunch, like not necessarily the A game candy, but like the next up.
It's still good.
And then they also had the Legend, which is when you got that full-size candy bar, and it was like Reese's peanut butter cups, Snickers,
Paydays, and Baby
money.
Ruths.
When you would get dollar bills, because I did get that at some houses.
I never got money. I got money sometimes.
I would like to...
I've got popcorn balls more than I got money.
Oh, yeah. Oh, what category would that go into?
Old time. But, see, like, we got popcorn balls, but we never ate them. We just threw them at each other.
You used them as a weapon?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, all right. If you ever had a popcorn ball and you hum it at someone and you hit them in the back of the head, that thing explodes, it's great.
I get it. So I would like to submit another category that I just made up when I bought my candy, and it's called Bougie Yet Broke. And it's where you buy the baller type of candy, so like the Reese's peanut butter cups, the M&Ms, but in fun size, and you make sure that it's a brand that you like. So if you don't have enough trick-or-treaters, you're not stuck with a bunch of candy that you don't like. So that's Bougie Yet Broke. So it's somewhere in between.
It's your win-win category.
Yeah, it's your win-win category.
It can't go wrong. It's like either I have a bunch of trick-or-treaters or I'm depressed that I don't have a bunch of trick-or-treaters, but yay, I have candy to eat my sorrows away.
And I'm not even going to lie. I've already opened the bag and have been, and I was like, I got to stop. And then I was like, I can't be alone with this thing of candy because it's a lot of candy and we can't be having this happen.
Yeah, we went to Walgreens like 2 days ago. I bought a bunch of the old candies. I bought like the ones that come with like York peppermint patties. Like, I am such an old man.
You are.
You know what my favorite cereal is?
What?
Guess.
Captain Crunch.
Shredded wheat.
Are you joking?
I
Not
love
even
shredded
frosted
wheat.
Shredded wheat.
I like frosted shredded wheat.
Like,
and I
straight up
don't get me wrong. Like,
shredded
I
wheat.
like all the other cereals, but shredded wheat by itself is fantastic.
How do you feel about Cracklin' Oat Bran?
I'd probably get down with that. But like shredded wheat, it's great because like you take a little bit of brown sugar, you put that in, it's some fruit. It's fantastic. And I don't know, I just like when
you are an old man.
Yeah.
Do you like Cheerios?
I do. I love Cheerios.
Like
regular Cheerios. Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
What's wrong with you?
I wish I had a machine to make them.
I haven't had cereal in so long.
I don't like cornflakes by themselves though.
Cornflakes is disgusting.
I like Kashi. I like Honey Bunches of Oat. Yeah, Kashi's good.
Oh man,
it's better if you take it and you mix it with Honey Bunches of Oat, or if you mix it with cornflakes. I'm sure it's pretty good.
God. All right. On that note, we're gonna take another break. Come back to us. It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Is your vehicle
the best tasting radio show in all of South Louisiana? It's the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL.
Welcome back to the Lafayette Food Junkie Show on News Talk 96.5 KPEL. I'm your host, Tiffiany Deku, and we've been talking with Chef Paul Krato tonight. Continuing on with the Halloween theme, we're going to talk about food, scary movies, and we need to mention, because we haven't yet, Stranger Things is back on.
Right.
Which I'm sure skyrocketed Eggo sales, if not just for costumes.
Yeah.
I don't see how anyone would want to eat an Eggo because they're gross.
Hey, all right, whoa.
I ate them a lot when I was a child, smothered in butter, but I would never eat one as an adult.
I still like Eggos.
Okay, do you doctor them up in any way to make them more edible?
I mean, I can eat an Eggo straight up by itself. Like,
really?
Like if I'm like on the go, yeah. But I generally get like the wheat Eggos.
Sad.
But one thing that Eggos are really good for is sandwiches.
Really?
Hell yeah.
So you do like a savory...
I mean,
we used to do like peanut butter jelly sandwich. I used to do that.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking like on the level of like Viva La Waffle.
Okay.
You just make whatever you want.
Viva La waffles tasted way better than an Eggo.
I understand that, but that's what I'm saying. Like just for like your quick fix at home, like a little ham sandwich or like a burger or something like that, and you just got some Eggos. You want to add some to the party. You can have like little like mini breakfast sandwiches or like other stuff like that. Like an Eggo makes a decent little sandwich.
Okay, well that is something I will not do because that does not sound good to me at all.
I'm gonna bring you an Eggo sandwich one day. That sounds weird when you say it. Like
I feel like if I make so I've been seeing those with the Belgian waffle makers, like the tater tot waffles. That looks interesting to
I've
me.
seen all kinds of things. Like they've been doing like little corn dog waffles and stuff, and there's a bunch of things going on. Everybody's on like a waffle kick.
You can totally have my Eggo. You don't have to Lego it. You can have it all. Okay, so Killer Tomatoes. We mentioned this one last year. I mean, that's pretty obvious. It's about killer tomatoes. There was some movie called The Stuff that I'd never heard about, and I feel like this article totally made this up, but it was about killer ice cream, and I don't know how I feel about that, and I don't know how ice cream could kill you.
I got cut by ice cream once.
Salmonella. Really?
Yeah, it was when I was in high school. I was working at Shop Hines in Erath, and I was fronting all like the Bluebell ice cream, and I guess like at some point some like leaked somewheres, and it just like froze, and it was at a perfect spot where it froze solid. So when I was fronting it to the back, my forearm like grazed it when I was pulling it back, and it cut me, and I was like, "The hell just cut me?" I was like, "I'm bleeding," and then like I see like on like the ice cream, like ice spike that was like on the little bar, like I see like a blood there, and I'm just like, I just got cut by like vanilla ice cream. Like, how does that even happen?
That's when you know it's real.
Right.
They also mentioned in Poltergeist, I do not remember this scene, but there was a scene in Poltergeist where the raw steak came alive and like threw up its insides. Do you remember that from Poltergeist? I don't.
I don't remember that.
And
but
I would go back
it's
and
been a
watch
really
it,
long time
but I live
since
by
I've seen
myself.
Poltergeist.
Yeah, I live by myself, so I can't watch scary movies. I love scary movies, but that's not happening. And then also The Silence of the Lambs. And I mean, that's whole themed. He's like a cannibal. He eats people. But
Hannibal the Cannibal.
Hannibal, one of the sequels to Silence of the Lambs, he makes one of the characters eat his own brain, like while he's alive and he's eating his brain, which makes for an interesting scene. I felt like it was still done better in the book, but that's
yeah. Cool. They got that Troll 2 movie with they force feed like teens this like chemical, turns them to this like goop, and they're eaten up, or it turns them to this plant-based goop, and they're eaten by vegetarian trolls.
Okay. All right. That's another one. Do you have any other ones that I didn't mention that were on the list? There was like there was all kinds of listicles about this. There was even lists of food items to eat while watching scary movies.
If you ever saw that movie, Scary Movie, it was either Scary Movie 1 or 2 with the whole Thanksgiving scene with the guy's like, got my strong hand, and he's got his hand like the little turkey, and like there's like basically like slamming it on the table, and like he does like some inappropriate things with it that I can't say over the air.
Yeah.
And then at another point they have one character, and they do like the little scene from Silence of the Lambs where like they go to like eat his brain, but like they pop open the dude's brain and it's empty, and he's got like the little stone dude Beetlejuice in it, like laughing like he has no brain cells.
That's
just
a great
reminded
Halloween
me
movie. That there was a scary movie called Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah.
That just reminded me of that.
Yeah, then there's that Thanksgiving with the killer turkey.
Yes. And then we talked about Poultrygeist.
Yeah, Poultrygeist.
Which is about a possessed chicken. And yeah, so there's Halloween themed food related movies out there.
They'll all be beef themed.
And they're pretty cheesy.
They're going to be entertaining.
Cheese Louise.
Gore and nudity guaranteed.
I want to give a shout out to the Jerk Stop. I feel so weird every time I say that name. It's a Jamaican restaurant.
Do it in the Jamaican accent. It won't feel weird.
No, I can't. I can't do it on
You got to do it.
You just put me on the spot.
I know what I'm saying.
I can't. And people are going to
I know they want to hear it.
No, I can't.
The Jerk Stop.
The Jerk Stop.
Oh, that's not Jamaican.
Come on. I can't do it.
Come on, let your little inner Rasta out.
I don't. It's not going to come out.
You got to feel it.
Moving on. It's a Jamaican plate lunch place that opened up at the corner of Bonin and Ambassador. They're so nice. And the food is really good.
Are they Jamaican, though?
Yes, they are.
Legit?
They are Jamaican. Yes.
What?
They are Jamaican. He let me taste. So I wanted to get the jerk chicken, and they had a stuffed jerk chicken that day. So it was chicken breast, and it was stuffed with different like peppers. And it was spicy, but it wasn't over the top spicy. And I got confused because on the menu, it said you could pick 3 side items, but he just fixed me what they call pigeon and peas and rice. So it's just rice, and it has like these giant what they call pigeon peas, but it's not a ton of them. They're just kind of like sporadically in there.
Just tossed around.
And then plantains, and the plantains were delicious.
I love plantains.
They also have something called macaroni pie that I was reading about, and it's not exactly like the macaroni and cheese that you're thinking of. It's macaroni and cheese, but they add sugar to it. And I'm not thinking that it's a ton of sugar. It's probably just sweeter than what we're expecting it to be. I wanted to taste that, but that wasn't like offered. And then there was like a salad and some more like dipping sauce for, it was a lot. It was like $10. It was delicious. They had goat stew.
Nice.
Goat curry soup. I think that day they're doing like whole fish.
Have you seen that video of those cats, some Jamaican cats that basically ride this little raft
and it's
in
like
Canada?
The seafood.
Yeah, and they do like lobster and all this other stuff.
It looks delicious. Yeah, I want to be like, sign me up. I totally want that. The other thing that I appreciated is that they had all these different Jamaican sodas that you could try.
Yeah.
And I got the one that was grapefruit flavored, and it was called Ting. And it tasted like Sprite.
Hey, give me some Ting.
Yeah. I keep thinking there's like this comedy skit with like Lil Ting Ting
or
something like that. But I was expecting it to have more of a grape. It tasted like Sprite. Like that's what it tasted like to me. I wanted it to taste like the Doritos.
The Doritos. Like, yes. I hate grapefruit everything. I also like hate grape flavor and everything. But like the Doritos lime is fantastic.
Yeah.
The pineapple is pretty good. The tangerine is good.
They also had a Jamaican, it was cola champagne is what it was called. And I was very interested. And then they had ginger beer too there.
Nice.
So that was kind of like a little nice tidbit, but go check them out. They're super nice. He let me taste it. He was like, I was like, I want the jerk chicken. And he was like, this is what we have on special. He's like, it's going to be more tender than the chicken. And I was like, well, I want this because it tasted delicious. And
right. So, it's like, just give me something great.
Yeah, please. It was so good. And I love that we have all these different ethnic restaurants opening up in town. Like, I'm obsessed with. So
yeah, maybe we can get rid of some of these corporate places and start letting people open up like decent restaurants again.
So on that note too, I had Star Taco Friday night, and they have vampires on the menu. Are you familiar with what they are?
No.
Okay, so
Is it bat? Tell me it's a bat.
No, I was really confused by.
Would totally.
So when you see the picture of it, it looks like a tostada. Like it's a corn tortilla with like all the toppings on it. And when I got it, it was like the corn tortilla was flimsier, but it wasn't as flimsy as a taco, and it wasn't as hard as a tostada.
Right.
But it had like the chorizo, they had like an avocado on it, and this like sour creamy sauce on it. It was so spicy, like it cleared my sinuses. Like I was like, I basically got this to clear my sinuses. But I couldn't figure out, because that's the only time that I've ever seen a taco referred to as a vampire. Well, I Googled it. And it's a specific type of taco that they take the corn tortilla, they griddle it on the grill until it gets kind of hard and shrinks in. Yeah. Like a bat wing is what they said.
Okay.
So it kind of like concaves in a little bit, and they said it looks like a bat wing, and that's why they're called vampires.
It'd be better if it was made out of bat.
No.
I would totally. You telling me you wouldn't try a bat?
I would not eat a bat. They're cute because they're cute.
So pigs are cute.
Not as cute as a bat.
I beg to differ.
Nope.
Put a little mini piglet and put a bat together. Tell me which one's cuter.
Okay, well, a piglet is cute.
It's still a pig.
So, but okay.
I would eat a bat. I would eat anything, to be honest.
I know they do eat bats. I would
try it. I would try anything once.
And bats are really good. Like,
I just can't promise I would like it.
Bugs, and they're good for the environment.
They eat fruit. You ever seen a bat eat a grape?
Yes, I've seen those videos on Facebook. I'm well acquainted with the animal videos on Facebook. Okay,
they make me cry.
And we had an episode a while back. The last episode, I think Jesse Ryder was on, where I went on my biscuit rant about biscuits in Lafayette.
Yeah.
Well, Lauren Godin, who was writing for Country Roads magazine, interviewed me about biscuits in Lafayette, and that is in their November issue of Country Roads magazine. So you guys can go pick it up, or you can look it up online, where I go on a little tangent about who I think has my favorite biscuit in Lafayette, and it's not what you think. So it's still surprising to me.
If you say Mel's, I'm done with you.
No, it was actually Blanchard's Barbecue.
That's what's up.
They had a delicious biscuit.
I'm going to say this, and I'm probably going to make the whole world mad at me, but I'm letting it be known that I love Edie's, but they need to fix their biscuits so bad.
See, for me, it's not about an Edie's biscuit. It's about their brisket stuffed bread. Or I think they call them kolaches there. But
Yes,
it's
yeah.
like,
I never
think it's
eat
bigger
anything
than a
outside
kolache.
of like the biscuits. But like,
Oh no, try that pulled. Oh,
I'm sure it's good, but I don't like their biscuits at all. Like as far as like for like a sandwich, like I don't like their biscuits at all. And like I love Edie's. Like I go and there's just times like I can get through it. Like if I eat like the fried chicken is good, but if I get like a sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit, I just wish their bread was better. I don't know. Like I'd rather go buy Edie's and then go buy like a McDonald's biscuit and put the Edie's stuff on the McDonald's biscuit and eat it. That would be better.
Okay, no, don't agree there. All right, Paul, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure. That's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Join us next week, Sunday at 6 p.m. This is Tiffiany Deku on News Talk 96.5 KPEL, and this is the Lafayette Food Junkie Show. Thanks for listening, and as always, happy eating, Acadiana.